Welcome to PM Ready, your guide to becoming PMP certified. This lesson is about projects, operations, programs, and portfolios. In this lesson, we answer some fundamental questions about projects, including what is a project, how is it different from operations, what is a program, what is a portfolio, and what is organizational project management, or OPM. PMI defines a project as a temporary endeavor to create a unique product, service, or result. Key things to notice here are that it's temporary, that it creates something unique, and that it results in a product, service, or result. Projects create something that is unique. Oftentimes it's pretty obvious what a project is, but other times it's not quite so clear. Some projects may have a lot in common with other projects. For example, if you're building a home using the same floor plan as another home, then is it an operation or a project? Is it unique? It's still unique because even though it may be using the same plans, you'll be building it in a different location, for a different customer, using different teams, and possibly with different governmental regulations to deal with. A project creates a unique product, service, or result. For example, if you're creating a new software application, that's an example of a new product. That would be a project. If you're creating a new version of that software application, that would be considered an enhancement to an existing application, and again, that would be a project. Perhaps you're creating a new version of the software that is specifically to fix bugs. That would be a correction to an existing product and also a project. Similarly, if you were to build a new building, that's a new product. Or if you bought a building and remodeled it, that's an enhancement to an existing product. So that's a project. Or perhaps you have a building that you need to solve some water drainage problem to prevent flooding or to prevent ice buildup. That would be an improvement to an existing product and therefore a project. A project can also produce a service or the capability to perform a service. For example, if you were to decide that you need to establish a central regional call center, that would be the establishment of a service center or the capability to perform a service. So that would be a project. A project can also produce a result. A typical example would be an organizational change. For example, if you were to reorganize all of your IT personnel and pull them in from different business units and organize them into a shared services organization, that would be an organizational change. And that would be a result of a project to make that change. Others could include research projects that result in new knowledge or reports. Again, that's a project. So projects can produce both tangible and intangible results. Typically, the results of a project last well beyond the end of a project. At this point, it would be good to talk about the meaning of the word deliverable. Deliverables include not only the final deliverables of a project, but also any intermediate deliverables of the processes or phases of a project. And some of these deliverables will be end results, and some are intermediate results that are not used or don't serve a long-term purpose, but are important to the process of project management. A project is a temporary endeavor. It has a very definite beginning and a definite end. But it's not necessarily short. A project could go on for many years and still be a project. The project ends when you're done with it, either because the objectives of the project have been met, or it could be that you figure that the objectives can't be met. This could be either because the project turns out to be infeasible, Or there could be other factors outside of the control of the project team that make it impossible for the objectives to be met. It could be that the resources are not available or were but aren't anymore. This could include both team members as well as other physical facilities and assets. It could be that a project ends early because it's terminated either for cause or for convenience. It could be that the funding is not available or was available but is no longer available. Or it could be that there simply isn't a need for the project anymore due to, say, changes in the market or changes in regulatory requirements or perhaps a change in the strategic direction of the organization. Some specific examples of projects include things like constructing a building, a road, or a bridge, acquiring and installing new computer systems, developing a new medical treatment, expanding a tour guide service, modifying a software application, improving a business process, even exploring for oil in a region. Could be conducting research to develop a new manufacturing process, or perhaps merging two organizations together into one, or even creating a health and safety department. Notice that these examples span the range of products, services, and results. The first two items on the list are examples of new products. The next few on the list are examples of new services or changes to existing services or the ability to provide a service. And the last few are examples of results, such as two organizations that are now merged into one, or a new health and safety department. In each of these cases, the results are also unique, and the project has a definite beginning and end. Another key characteristic of projects is that they create business value, both tangible and intangible. This can range from physical assets such as buildings and infrastructure, to financial assets and stakeholder equity, to market share and brand recognition or goodwill or reputation, even things far less tangible such as the license to operate, strategic alignment, or projects that are of public benefit. For example, some years ago, Rio Tinto purchased the Kennecott copper mine in Salt Lake City. One of the first things they did is to start a series of cleanup projects. One was to clean up the refinery, another to clean up over 100 years of built-up environmental damage left by some of the previous owners. They also donated $12 million worth of copper roof for a local museum and purchased the right to put their name, Rio Tinto, on the local sports stadium. These are examples of projects that had some public benefit, and they were specifically to help maintain community support for the local mining operation, which in turn allowed them to maintain their license to operate in the region. In other countries, similar projects are often launched by such organizations, projects that are environmental, educational, or that provide infrastructure that benefit local communities. How can you tell the difference between a project and an operation? It's not always easy to tell, but here are some rules of thumb to help you tell the difference. Projects are temporary in nature with definite beginnings and ends, whereas operations are meant to be more of an ongoing concern. Projects create things that are unique, whereas operations are focused on creating things that are standard with an effort to minimize variation. Operations focus on the outputs being consistent. Perhaps the most clear-cut example of an operation is really any manufacturing operation, such as Toyota's automobile manufacturing or the manufacture of smartphones or computers. It also includes the operations of suppliers that manufacture components for these different products, such as dashboard components for the car or batteries for phones and computers. It also includes the logistics of transporting these materials and then transporting these components to the manufacturing plant, and then subsequently transporting the finished goods to the market. Really, any ongoing manufacture of standard products is an operation rather than a project. In addition, operations can include services that are ongoing services, such as providing a call center or customer support, or providing internet service to your home or to your place of business, or providing automobile registration for your car. Utility services, electricity, gas, and water, as well as maintenance of equipment and facilities. Occasionally, it can be difficult to determine whether something is a project or an operation, but that's okay, because there's an awful lot of overlap in some of the tools and processes between projects and operations. There are many operations tools, particularly around quality, that are applicable to projects, and vice versa. So if you have an endeavor that feels a little bit like a project and a little bit like operations, then applying tools from both domains and tailoring your approach may be the best approach. If your organization has several projects underway, and those projects need some coordination in order to maximize the benefits of those projects, then it may make sense to organize them into what is called a program. A program includes projects and can also include other programs. In addition, you may need to organize into portfolios, which include programs, projects, and operations. A program is a collection of projects and other programs that is managed in a coordinated way to obtain the benefits that you couldn't get from managing these projects or programs separately. The focus within a program is on the interdependencies between these projects and programs. And it's important to keep in mind that we're not just talking about a very large project. Projects can be quite large and not need to be broken down into separate projects and organized into a program. A portfolio, on the other hand, has a different focus. It's managed as a group to achieve strategic objectives. Notice that this is a little different from the need to coordinate in order to obtain benefits. Now we're looking at a wider variety of endeavors, which includes projects, programs, and operations. These may or may not have any interdependencies, but they all support common strategic objectives, and so need a portfolio oversight. A simple but effective way to remember the difference between programs and portfolios is that programs are about doing things the right way, and portfolios are about making sure you're doing the right things. You may have noticed a similarity here between management and leadership, and programs and portfolios. Management is like programs in that it focuses on doing things the right way, and portfolios are like leadership in that they're about doing the right thing. An example of a program would be the creation of a new communications satellite system. This would include projects to design and construct the satellite itself, to design and construct the ground stations for the satellite, a project to launch it, and a project to integrate the systems. Notice that each of these projects are very interrelated and yet have very different domains and skill sets required of the project teams. And so it makes sense to organize these as multiple projects, but they're very interdependent and must be coordinated in order to achieve the benefits. For an example of a portfolio, I've drawn upon my experience in the mining industry, in which I've seen programs and projects and portfolios organized in various different ways. But one example is organizing a mining company's portfolios into an iron ore portfolio, a copper portfolio, aluminum, coal, diamonds, and exploration. Each of these portfolios would consist of multinational departments, including operations such as sales and marketing, finance and accounting, public relations, mine operations, of course, and logistics, and so on, as well as countless projects organized into regional or technical programs. Organizing in this way allows each portfolio to have the resources to focus on its own strategic objectives. With all of these projects, operations, programs, and portfolios, it's important to have them all coordinated and organized. That's where Organizational Project Management, or OPM, comes in. Organizational Project Management is a framework that allows for the portfolios, programs, and projects to be managed in an integrated way. The purpose is to make sure that the right projects are being done and that allocation of critical resources is coordinated across all of these projects and operations. It helps ensure that everyone in the organization is on the same page and provides the framework necessary for the planning, management, monitoring, change management, and even measurements of success of projects, programs, and portfolios. For example, measuring success is different for a project than for a program than for a portfolio. For a project, success is measured by reaching the project objectives of scope, quality, timeliness, budget compliance, customer satisfaction, and other project-specific objectives. Measuring success on a program is about delivering the intended benefits and the efficiency in delivering those benefits over time. Measuring success of a portfolio is about measuring the success of the investment and how well the investment is performing in the aggregate and realizing the organizational strategic objectives. This diagram shows how the portfolios, programs, projects, and operations are interrelated in an organizational project management framework. It shows that there are feedback mechanisms that allow different components of this framework to support other components. For example, the results of operations can inform and change operational strategy, which in turn affects the portfolio, programs, and projects. Some key things to remember from this lesson include that projects are temporary, unique, and produce products, services, or results. Operations, on the other hand, are ongoing and focused on consistency in producing standard items. They improve by minimizing variation in the process. Programs consist of projects and other programs, but not operations. Programs focus on doing things the right way and are organized to provide benefits that you can't get by managing these projects or programs separately. Portfolios consist of projects, programs, and operations. The focus is on doing the right things and on maintaining alignment with strategic objectives and obtaining those strategic objectives. Organizational project management is about coordinating all of these portfolios, programs, projects, and operations in order to maximize strategic benefit and to properly manage limited resources. That concludes this lesson on projects, programs, portfolios, and operations. For more information, you can refer to pages 4 through 17 of the PMBOK guide. PM Ready is a publication of PM Guaranteed and is based on the Project Management Institute's PMBOK guide.